Yeah, I'll just introduce you.
If you want to, yeah, by all means. Is this connected? Oh, it's wireless.
Good afternoon. How's everybody? Good. We are continuing with our Welcome to Symphony. We are continuing with our summer concert series every Friday from noon to 1 p.m. And this week we have the great pleasure of having two gentlemen who are actually regular performers with us at some of our concerts. We have here Tim Heavner, who is on piano. He played with us for the D. Daniels concert, Great Ladies of Jazz. And Mr. Adam Janssen, who plays trombone. As you can see here, he's multi-talented. He's got many instruments that he'll be playing today. And so we're very excited to have them with us. And Adam will be explaining some of the pieces as they go along. But I just would like to thank them so much for joining us. And without further ado, I'll turn it over to them. Thank you.
Thanks, Justin. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much to the Butler County Symphony Orchestra and to John and Chris who have put together this wonderful summer concert series. I've long admired this effort here on the Symphony's behalf. I think this is just such an incredible thing that we do over the summer to continue the trajectory of the orchestra, and it's just so wonderful. Hello to everyone who's here in person. Thank you for being here. Hello to everyone who is live streaming the event via Facebook, and then also a special shout out, I believe, to our friends who are maybe listening in the park across the street. Yeah, so this is just such a wonderful event. Like John said, my name is Adam Janssen. I've played trombone in the Butler County Symphony Orchestra for the last 5 seasons. I was just so happy to partake in this summer concert recital series. I'm locally raised and trained. I just grew up down here in Richland Township, and studied at Carnegie Mellon, and just have played actively throughout the Pittsburgh and Butler regions, and it's just really a pleasure to play with the Butler County Symphony Orchestra, as well as other groups around town, and especially to put together programs like this. I'm so glad to have Tim Heavner here by my side on keys. He's going to tell you a little bit about himself a little bit later, but he's a phenomenal musician, and thank you so much for being here, Tim. In crafting this recital, I wanted to put together a series of pieces that demonstrate really the full range of the trombone, no pun intended. As you notice, I have a couple of different trombones up here, and I'll play each one of these, and I'll kind of talk about what each one of these represents and the style of music, and you'll get to hear each one. But in addition to that, I kind of wanted to demonstrate the full range of my own personal musicality. You notice I have a couple extra instruments here. One of the greatest pleasures in my life is playing music on multiple instruments. I just love learning new instruments and playing new instruments and teaching new instruments. My day job is I teach in the Pittsburgh City Schools. But this is really a treat for me, so thank you so much for having me. We are going to begin our program this afternoon on the tenor trombone in France. We are going to begin with the Sonatine by Jacques Castérède. Now, Castérède was a French composer of the 20th century. And you're going to hear in this piece, we're going to play 2 movements from the Sonatine. You're going to hear in the first movement a heavy jazz influence. You have to think that these guys were writing trombone and brass music in the middle of the 20th century. So this was during the time that jazz was exploding in America, and you have all these kind of jazz influences, that come from France and came to the Americas. But then you also have 20th century inspirations like Stravinsky in here. So you're going to hear a lot of angular rhythms, you're going to hear some irregular time signatures. It's not necessarily a toe tapper, but it's amazing how everything kind of lines up. You'll hear the melody pass between Tim and I, particularly in this first movement of the Jacques Castérède Sonatine for tenor trombone and piano. So please enjoy. Just a second there. Thank you. Thank you. So that's the first movement. You kind of hear, you know, how those angular rhythms kind of line up sometimes and sometimes don't so much, you know? And so now we're going to move on to the second movement of the Castérède Sonatine. Now, the trombone is so commonly associated with kind of loud, bombastic playing. You know, a lot of times we play Ride of the Valkyries or the big symphonic stuff. Anytime there's a big moment in the orchestra, you'll hear swells and you'll hear the trombones enter. But, you know, I kind of, in one of my great pursuits in playing the trombone is kind of ending that stigma that the trombone can only play loud and blatty and stuff like that. So, sort of illustrated in the first movement there. It's really a very mellow instrument. It can play many different styles and characteristics, and it's really capable of very beautiful melodies, as is going to be evidenced in this second movement. This is really just beautiful, beautiful music. Beautiful writing for the trombone and for the piano, that is, in the second movement. You're going to hear more of the jazz chords here, but really, really what you're going to hear in this second movement is just a beautiful tune played on the tenor trombone, passed back and forth between the piano and the tenor trombone. It's just really beautiful music, and I think very indicative of what the trombone is really capable of, the different characteristics and styles that the trombone can portray. I played this in a recital a couple of years ago, and I couldn't help but to dedicate this second movement to my mother. You know, anytime I play beautiful music, anytime we play beautiful music, I think we think of our parents and specifically our mothers. So this second movement, of course, is dedicated to my mother. I don't know if she's watching or not, but this is certainly dedicated to her. Castérède really knew the trombone. You know, he was part of a troupe of composers during the middle of the 20th century who wrote extensively for brass. He really knew the brass music. In fact, our next composer, Koetsier, was also one of this troupe that really knew what it was to write for music. They knew how to write for brass music, and it was, I think, a style that really resonated for the time period and then also the instrumentation of brass. So it's just really wonderful music, very well written, I think, for trombones. Yeah, great. So we're going to move on now to the big trombone. The bass trombone, as you can see, it's quite a bit bigger. It has an extended valve section here. Generally plays the lower parts in the orchestra. Now, if you've seen the Butler County Symphony Orchestra in the last couple of years, you have probably seen me play bass trombone in the trombone section. I like to rotate between the three section trombones, but the last couple of years I've been playing primarily bass trombone. I would be remiss if I did not also mention that this upcoming June the 30th, we have an outdoor community park concert presented by the Butler County Symphony Orchestra. It will be in Cranberry Municipal Park on June the 30th. That is a Thursday evening. We're going to play a nice patriotic selections. Maestro Jacob Joyce of the PSO, the resident conductor there, is going to come and conduct the Butler County Symphony Orchestra. We're all really looking forward to it. It'll be the Thursday before July 4th, so we're going to play some typical, you know, July 4th patriotic stuff like that. We'll play the 1812 Overture and some other really wonderful music for that. We're going to play some John Williams. It'll be a great concert. Anyways, Koetsier, John Koetsier, was a Dutch composer and conductor, again, of the 20th century. Now, the Castérède, Sonatine, and this piece that we're about to play for you were really written as competition pieces. During the middle of the 20th century, they would write all of this music, not necessarily for the concert hall, but really for competitions, for, you know, college-aged or professional-aged brass musicians. Young brass musicians would vie for different scholarships. And they write all of this music year after year. I think it was just a really good, easy paycheck, if you ask me. But you know, they'd vie for these scholarships, and the people who won the top prizes would go to top universities all over Europe. As I mentioned, Castérède and Koetsier were champions of brass music. They wrote tons of brass chamber music. Koetsier wrote a very famous handful of brass quintets that are still often played today. In addition to Castérède, actually wrote a quartet for trombones, which is really great. Now, when I play the bass trombone, this is a little bit silly, I shouldn't be saying in recital, but I tend to think of a big, fat, male ballet dancer, okay, if you will. Just because, you know, if you can imagine a big, hefty guy dancing across the stage, and he's exceptionally light on his feet, so he has this very characteristic style of, you know, maybe being able to prance around along the stage, but also has a heftiness to him. And I think this is remarkably indicative of this piece in general, because you'll hear there's a lot of different style changes, characteristic styles, but what's really unique about this piece is it's all written in basically the same tempo. You're just going to hear us transition back between triple and duple meter, so you'll hear bop, 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 bop. It's all the same tempo, but it's different characteristics and styles. So this is the Jan Koetsier Allegro Maestoso, not the most creative of titles, but this is the Koetsier Allegro Maestoso for bass trombone and piano. Let me just play one. Thank you, thank you. So I don't know if you could kind of imagine a ballet dancer around on stage there in that last piece there. Great fun, great fun. Allegro Maestoso by Koetsier. This is the trombone, of course, that I will be playing at our outdoor concert on June the 30th. Did I mention June the 30th? Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to our friends who are joining via live stream. Thank you to our friends who are in the park there. I'm so glad to be here. My name is Adam Janssen. You all know that, but maybe they don't know that. I've played in the Butler County Symphony Orchestra trombone section for many seasons now. But I'm just so happy to be here playing music for you and to be playing music with my very dear friend, Mr. Tim Heavner. Tim is also a member of the Butler County Symphony Orchestra. Anytime that you see a piece that has piano in it, he will often to be playing in the section. It's really a really wonderful, a great thing. He's an amazing pianist, and I would just love if, Tim, you would tell these nice folks a little bit about yourself.
Sure, happy to. So I am now in my 10th year in this general area. I grew up in Alaska and played piano from a very young age. In public schools, I did a lot of other instruments, percussion and tuba and different things like that. I've been a singer most of my life, but worked mostly in Anchorage doing all different sorts of music. You'll hear some of the different styles that we're going to play throughout this. Adam wanted to showcase other music besides 20th century French composers, so we have some other things that we're going to I wound up here, as I said, about 10 years ago. I was hired to be a chorus teacher at a school, and so a lot of my work has been in choral conducting and choral accompanying, that sort of thing. And now I'm the band director. I don't know how that happened, but now I teach band, which is a real joy to get to work with young kids and older kids and get to kind of bring them up. A lot of good trombone players this year, which is really exciting. I have always, as much as I like to play solo piano music for myself, I've always liked doing collaborative piano. So most of what I do is work with other musicians, and that for me is much more rewarding. I'm a social person, and I'd much rather spend my time working with other musicians than secluding myself in a practice room for 6 hours all by myself. So this gets me out and about making the rounds with other people. So I do a lot of accompanying, where maybe I'm working with one musician, or I do choral accompanying, where I'm working with an entire choir and supporting their work. And the work that I've done with the Butler County Symphony has been really wonderful, because I love orchestral music. That's one of my greatest loves. And it's really fun as a pianist to just hide in the orchestra and get to hear all these wonderful sounds around you and contribute to it, but also be surrounded by the sound of all of the other instruments and do all of that. So that's certainly a joy to be able to support this wonderful orchestra and be a part of their program. So thanks to everyone that's able to invite me here today. Adam, thanks for inviting me, and it's really just a joy to be a part of this.
Can you tell them which orchestra and which ensembles you've been working with this week?
Yes, so I sing with the Mendelssohn Choir of Pittsburgh, and I've been rehearsing with the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra this week. And as the accompanist for the Mendelssohn Choir, I actually got to play a soloist rehearsal with Manfred Honeck and their vocal soloists over the past 2 days. So just 2-3 of us together in a room, just working on some fantastic music. So I get to do a lot of different, I get to wear a lot of hats, which is part of the joy of what I get to do.
Yeah. Great, thank you, Tim.
That's me in a nutshell.
Good, thank you. Certainly, I also wanted to mention, maybe at the end of the recital, if you have any questions or if you have any comments or anything, please, please by all means, for Tim or I. Yeah, so I mean, we're just so lucky to have Tim in the Butler County Symphony Orchestra, and I'm lucky to have him, so thank you so much for being here, Tim. Yes, indeed. One of my favorite things that I admire so much about Tim is his versatility. And, from here to the end of the recital, we're really going to demonstrate versatility, I think, between the two of us. Tim is far too modest to tell you all about the wonderful instruments that he plays and his beautiful voice, but also just remarkable that he can play in so many different styles. He's kind of a chameleon of all different styles. Versatility is maybe a word, if I may be so bold, that I might use to describe myself as well. For example, this next tune, I'm going to pick up the violin. When I started my musical studies, I started on the violin. It was very much my first musical love. I started when I was 8 years old, just in the school music program. I loved it so much. I think part of the reason, I think this is very important in my pedagogy, my teaching of younger students, of the younger generation, is that my mom just made me practice. She made me practice so much. One of my favorite stories is that the orchestra director would say, okay, practice 20 minutes a day. And she'd say, okay, my mom would say, I'll set the microwave timer for 20 minutes. Okay, and I was a kid, I was like, okay, I'll just, screw around for 20 minutes, whatever, And little did I know, many years later, she told me the honest truth, that she was usually setting the timer for 22 minutes or 25 minutes or a couple extra minutes, just to make sure that maybe some of that screwing around didn't make it into my practice cycle. it was one of my favorite things growing up, and I'm just so glad that I can now impart upon a new musical generation. You know, like I said, my day job and Tim's day job is teaching music, teaching the next generation, but we're very lucky that we get to perform as well. So this next piece is a nice, cute little arrangement that I've put together. This is movie music. This is, if you're familiar with Disney and Pixar, in 2009 they released a movie called Up, UP. And it's about, you know, a curmudgeonly old man who goes on this grand adventure. He straps balloons to his house, and his house floats away. They float away to this mystical land, and they have a grand adventure. It's very, very sweet. I think the story really resonated with a lot of people, but what resonated even more with a lot of people was the music. The music is very, very beautiful and very recognizable. Specifically this tune that we're about to play, which is called Married Life. It occurs very early in the film, and it depicts a montage of this curmudgeonly old man and his love, and depicts, you know, their wedding and their life together, and some of the sad moments and some of the happy moments. And it really kind of blends Italian love songs with film music, with, you know, different kind of characteristic genres of violin music. For example, you know, about halfway through the tune, you're going to hear this chromatic line, and what you're going to hear is that in my mind is the balloons floating away, pulling his house away. But it's a really beautiful tune, and I, as a violinist and a violist, I get to play a lot of weddings, and this was someone's request for their wedding. They wanted to have Married Life played at their wedding. So this is my own arrangement of Married Life from Disney and Pixar's Up. That's cute. It's beautiful, beautiful music, beautiful music. Michael Giacchino is the composer on there. Just a really wonderful movie music there. Thank you. So we now transfer better. This is the alto trombone. In the same way that the saxophone section or a vocal ensemble has alto, tenor, bass, so indeed does the trombone section. We have the alto trombone, the tenor trombone, and the bass trombone. Now the alto trombone is maybe seldom heard as much. The trombone in general was not used in symphonic repertoire until the early Romantic period. In fact, we credit Beethoven as our founder of the induction of the trombones to the standard repertoire. In his Fifth Symphony of Beethoven, he famously utilized a trombone section. Up until this point, it had been used scarcely in church music and in medieval and Renaissance music and stuff like that, but never in the symphonic genre. Beethoven very famously used in his Fifth Symphony the trombone section, including the alto trombone. There's 4 movements in that symphony, and of course he made us wait until the 4th movement, and the rest of them we just sit. But we were able to actually play 2 seasons ago, I believe, in the Butler County Symphony Orchestra, the 5th Symphony of Beethoven, and I got to play the alto trombone on that concert. Not much classical music is written for trombones in general, or the alto trombone. However, we as trombone players, we do what we do best, and we steal music. You know, in this case, we are stealing. I'm about to play an oboe concerto of Vincenzo Bellini. This is obviously not written for the alto trombone. Bellini was a classical composer, a contemporary of Mozart and Haydn, and he wrote a handful of symphonies, but is mostly remembered for his oboe concertos. He wrote, I think, 2 or 3 oboe concertos, many of which are still actively performed today. This is an example. I hope that Mr. Bellini will not be rolling over too much in his grave hearing a trombone playing his famous oboe concerto, but we'll do our best here. Yeah, you'll hear this. This is a concerto, but it's very much a concerto in one movement. So that is to say that you'll hear kind of a fast introduction, followed by a slow section played on the alto trombone. You'll hear another polonaise section in the middle, and then you'll hear us, you know, slow down a bit and then speed up a little bit. But all this to say, a concerto in one movement is just a concerto that has no breaks in between. Is basically what it amounts to. Anyways, this is the oboe concerto of Vincenzo Bellini, which I believe was Italian. Little joke. Hold on one second there. Thank you so much. That's just, this is, by the way, I have to just mention this because I geek out a little bit on instruments. I don't know if you can tell. This alto trombone belonged to my teacher, Rebecca Cherian, who plays in the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra. I love playing this trombone just because it's a Yamaha, but it just really is sentimental for me because she played it so many years in the Pittsburgh Symphony, and now I get to play it. So it's a really wonderful instrument there. So thank you, Vincenzo Bellini, oboe concerto. I would be remiss if I did not mention also that we have an upcoming season with the Butler County Symphony Orchestra. We have a lot of really great repertoire planned. Maestro Matthew Kramer has done really wonders with the orchestra. It's really such a great pleasure to play under his baton. I believe it is in November. If you'd like to hear oboe music played on the oboe, I believe it is in November that our principal oboist, Hilary Philippe, is going to play the oboe concerto for strings and oboe of Ralph Vaughan Williams, which is a really excellent piece. Are you aware of that? You know, Vaughan Williams is just such a great composer. So Hilary Philippe, who is a phenomenal leader of the wind section and the orchestra, is going to play as soloist. So that will be in November. I believe our concerts start in, Patty, did they start in September?
October 1st.
October 1st is our first concert. So get your tickets. They're selling like hotcakes there. So please, we'd love to see you at the Butler County Symphony Orchestra. So, like I've mentioned here, I really wanted to, in addition to showcasing the full range of the trombone section, I wanted to sort of showcase the range of my own personal musicality. Some of the things that I have done that maybe aren't necessarily classically infused. There was a period of my life that I went through where I was questioning whether I would want to continue playing music at all, classical or otherwise. And the two things that really saved me were I started to play jazz music, which we're going to play a little bit later, and then I started to write my own music. I write extensively for, classical-esque ensemble, instrumental ensembles. I arrange for different ensembles, but I also write my own singer-songwriter songs. That is, songs that are played on the guitar or the piano. It was really, it was a period of my life that was very challenging, and one thing that really saved me was starting to write my own music. This next song that we were going to perform is actually off of my debut album, which I just released about 6 months ago. The song and the album are called Long Way Down. This song really kind of represents my love for music, my love for life, but also maybe some of the struggles that I've been through in my life. I think it's very interesting that I started playing guitar in college as part of my music education background, and that's when I wrote this tune that you'll hear at the beginning. You'll hear this guitar riff that I wrote in college. I struggled with lyrics for many, many years, and maybe about 10 years later I came back to this song and eventually found the lyrics. And what really resonated with me in terms of the lyrics was, what would I say to myself 10 years ago? What would the person who I was 10 years ago say to my current self? So this song, Long Way Down, kind of, it kind of talks about, it's almost talking myself through a time machine or something like that. And it was a very unique process to write the tune and then 10 years later write lyrics for the tune. It's almost like I wrote it in the middle of a time machine, which is really, really amazing. This is an arrangement I actually wrote. The album is available on Spotify and all those streaming services and everything. I actually recorded the original arrangement, calls for strings, and a small pop band, whatever. And I recorded this music with members of the Butler County Symphony Orchestra, actually. The arrangement that we're going to play right now, of course, I wrote for piano, and Tim has been kind enough to oblige me here. But it's a very personal song to me, and I'm very happy to share it with you. And if you'll indulge me here, I would love to play it for you. So this is Long Way Down. Good. Isn't much of you. Your bloodshot eyes, I'm wearing ties, I bet you never knew. You are me, I am you, I can see your point of view. I know the things that you think you have to do. You're scared of life, I'm scared of time, and neither has a clue. You've been impaired, I'm so aware, well I guess I've been there too. It's a long way down when you're sitting on the ground, when your loving has been taken, your romance and you've been faking, and no one's fighting for you. You're fighting the paranoia. Try to get up, stumble and fall, just get back home again. You'll be fine, just take your time and listen to your soul. I know it hurts, I know it does. You toss your room up just because, but you are strong, just play along. You know you have my love. You're scared to know, I'm scared to grow, and neither has a clue. You've been impaled, I know the tale, well I guess I've been there too. It's a long way home when you don't know the road, wondering when, if, and how you could ever say out loud. A two-faced disease, Lord help me if you please. Try to get up, stumble again, just take me now. Who are you? I'd like to see him, I'd like to see him once again. And I'd like to see him, I'd like to see him once again. And I'd like to see him, I'd like to see him once again. And when you feel you're at your end, listen to these words, my friend. Have faith, be strong. It won't be long till you're back up on that road again. And it's a long way down when you're sitting on the ground. When you can't do no right, when you can't do no wrong. It's a bitch to bear the load when you're sitting on the throne. Gotta get up, figure this out, and get back home again. I gotta get up, figure this out, and get back home again. Gotta get up, figure this out, and get back home again. Thank you. Long Way Down, shameless plug, is available on all streaming platforms. It's a very fun album. It kind of goes between big symphonic repertoire. I wrote, pieces for big orchestra and rock band. There's even, a rap section, not by me. But there's rock and roll music. There's a jazz ensemble piece. There's small intimate chamber music. It was one of the big projects of my life, and I'm so glad that I completed it and released it. So please feel free and encouraged to find it on Spotify, iTunes, what have you. Thank you again so much for being here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. We have one more tune for you. I wanted to, like I said several times, I wanted to demonstrate the full range of my musicality. Writing music and playing jazz music has really saved what my love and passion for music. I think it's very dangerous to just kind of specify in one genre. I think it's important for all musicians to play many different genres. So we're going to end with some jazz. And this is really great because this showcases Tim's versatility as well. I would remind you before our last piece, June the 30th at Cranberry Municipal Park is our outdoor summer concert for the Butler County Symphony Orchestra. And then please, it is at, Patty, can you help me out? Is it 7:30? It is at 7:30.
Is there a charge?
It is rain or shine. It's free. It's free. It is rain or shine, so if it happens to be raining, please just, bring a tent or something. It's going to be an evening of really great music. Like I said, John Williams, patriotic music, some concert hall music, some festive music. It'll be a really great show. Great. We're going to play a jazz standard called All of Me. You'll probably recognize this too. You good? Yeah. All right, here we go. I'll count you off. Last take. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. who's here. Thank you to the live stream. Thank you so much to John. Thank you so much to the Butler County Symphony Orchestra. Thank you to our friends who are joining us in the park. Over to you, John.
Thank you
so much.
to you guys.
Thank you.
Awesome way to end. What a great piece. Leaves everybody on a great note there. So, thank you again for joining us this week. We will be back next week. I believe we have Jessica Sanzotti playing Broadway songs. But there's schedules over there, posters. If you'd like one on the table, take one. There's also a brochure for our upcoming season, which kicks off in October with Mr. Hugh Panaro and Miss Scarlett Stralin, who are both from Broadway. Hugh played The Phantom on Broadway for many years, and they'll be joining us in October. We also have our educational program brochures, and we do have our membership charts if that appeals to you. Finally, there is a window cling that you're welcome to take and stick on the back window of your car and kind of help us to get the word out about who we are and what we do. So thank you so much, and you guys have a great weekend, and hopefully we'll see you all next week.
Thank you. Thanks, John. Certainly, if anyone has any questions or if you'd like to talk to Tim or I, we won't be offended if you don't. It's okay. But thank you so much for being here, especially to everyone who is here.